All right, you guys, I wanted to, if you'll excuse me for one moment. All right, you guys, I wanted to come on the air tonight. It is 12:45 Central Standard Time, and usually I do not come on the air at this hour. However, I have been sort of unable to sleep. I have just been up thinking about the family of Nancy Guthrie and just the whole situation at hand here. And I wanted to give you guys, excuse me there, just some context. There's some new information coming out about Nancy Guthrie and her abduction, her disappearance. So, first, I wanted to show you guys the screenshot in which I received, or I saw actually on my feed, a tweet. The tweet says, "Shouldn't Nancy's doctor know whether or not she's alive right now based on her pacemaker?" So, about an hour ago, I saw that tweet on my page and I actually responded to it, or quote tweeted it. I said, "Miss Guthrie's pacemaker disconnected from her phone at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st. Therefore, there is no communication between her pacemaker and any other person or device. View the timeline released by the Pima County Sheriff's Department." So I actually went ahead and sort of showed that timeline there, which we have seen for a couple of days now from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And I wanted to show you guys that. I think it's super important to get the facts straight in this awful situation here. And so I wanted to make sure that I had the facts and delivered them to that person who made that tweet, just to make sure that they know that actually when a pacemaker disconnects from its device, which is a phone, it is untraceable and unreadable. So you're not able to get any information from that pacemaker. Just as if, if your, I don't know, your AirTag from your iPhone disconnected and or somehow lost trace of your phone and you're not able to find your device. Or think of it as like if you're using your phone to find a device, maybe your laptop, and your laptop dies, well, then you can't find your laptop, of course. And so I'm not saying, of course, Nancy died. I'm just saying that her pacemaker disconnected. Maybe that's not a great example there, but it's something to kind of show you guys maybe exactly what that means. And so I wanted to come on the air tonight on this hour. So earlier today, I did a show discussing what we know so far as of, February 9th, Monday, about 9 days since Nancy went missing. And right after I logged off, right after my broadcast concluded, the family of Nancy Guthrie, specifically Savannah, the NBC Today Show host, put out a video statement, and I want you guys to watch that in its entirety. Here's that video right now.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
So that was a plea, basically. It was a cry for help. It was like a last minute Hail Mary. So essentially, what that was, again, like I said, it was like a Hail Mary. It was like, listen, like, and this was posted just minutes after I finished my broadcast earlier today, or I guess yesterday. But I wanted to show you guys that I think it was very, very important for you to see in the context of what we're looking at here, because this is just it's it's hard to grapple, what we're dealing with here. The mother of a very well-known journalist, the mother of an anchor on the Today Show, kidnapped, abducted from her home in Tucson. It's just very hard to grapple with that. And so this, again, I don't normally do these broadcasts this late at night, of course, but I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's important. And also the fact that this, and I've watched many different former and current FBI and crime and investigative journalists say that this was a plea. This was a last minute Hail Mary, as they described it, for anything. And as you guys know, at 5 p.m. Mountain Time in Arizona, there was a deadline. It was the last deadline, and so that was about 4 hours ago, almost 5 hours ago, that deadline has passed. And I want you guys to watch this clip. It's about 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes, and it's from The Source with Caitlin Collins, my colleague. And I think it's important for you guys to watch, just to get a sense of what's going on. This was an interview with the founder of TMZ, Harvey Levin. And TMZ, as you may know, or if you don't know, they received one of 3 ransom notes. The other 2 went to local Tucson affiliate organizations, news organizations, KGUN and KOLD. Both of those received a ransom note, as well as TMZ. And so I want you guys to watch this clip. It's about 6 minutes. It's pretty lengthy in its entirety, but it does reveal a lot about what was in that ransom note and what they're thinking there over at TMZ, and what the FBI is doing in their investigation. So take a look at this clip from CNN.
My lead source tonight got the initial unverified ransom note for Nancy Guthrie. TMZ founder Harvey Levin is here. And thank you, Harvey, for being here. Because, I mean, when you read this new FBI statement tonight, it's very lengthy. But the line that stood out to me was them saying they're not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, and that they don't have a suspect or a person of interest in this case. And just given that you got the first unverified ransom note, I wonder what you make of that statement tonight.
Well, I think it aligns with Savannah Guthrie's desperate plea today. We checked this Bitcoin address because in the first note, they give this Bitcoin address to send the money. And we have been checking it all day long. You would be able to see if money was deposited. We are not seeing anything deposited. So when I watched Savannah Guthrie talk today, it felt like, figuratively, a Hail Mary, saying we are getting nowhere with these alleged kidnappers and we need the public's help. If they paid the money, I will tell you this, Caitlin, the letter says that if they pay the money, Nancy would be returned within 12 hours of the time they receive payment, returned to Tucson. So you would think that if they paid it and everything was working properly, they would be biting their nails, but not saying anything publicly. It's almost as if everything just collapsed. and they are just begging the public because they are not in contact with the kidnappers. I the only thing that the only part of this that I'm thinking maybe they did pay money is in that second ransom note. The reporter from KOLD said that it wasn't a ransom note. It's possible that there is a new Bitcoin address on that. I have no idea, but that's the only way money could have been paid where we wouldn't be seeing it, because in the ransom note that we have, we've been checking that link and we're not seeing it.
Yeah. Did that original note say that if the family did pay, how they would confirm that they had gotten the money?
No, it does not say that. It's very direct to the point, and they made it clear. I'll even read this to you. It says, it is in the best interest of everyone to have this completed as soon as possible. And so, now it's been a week, and they've gone back and forth with proof of life and all that. And I do think there was something cryptic about Savannah talking about celebrating with their mother. It's almost as if maybe in that second note, they did show some kind of proof of life, and the word celebrate was used because otherwise it's out of context. But, it is direct to the point. They don't talk about how they will acknowledge payment. They just are saying, send it to this Bitcoin address. And presumably if they did, these people would see that the money was deposited.
I imagine you probably have reread that initial note a million times since you got it. I mean, just especially given it's been so long now and still no major leads tonight. Has anything stood out to you in hindsight, given now what you've heard from Savannah and from her siblings, when you look at that again?
Yes. It is a very well-written note. It is structured properly. The grammar is perfect. This is somebody who is intelligent, and somebody who is tech savvy for sure, because this seems untraceable. And so our IT team has been looking. I know the FBI obviously has been looking, and they haven't been able to find who sent this. That seems to be what they're saying today when they say no suspect, no person of interest. So to me, this is somebody in the Tucson area, because why else would they be sending these notes to two local television stations in Tucson? And they seem to have a connection there. They would send it to NBC if they're from, I don't know, New York. You would send it to Savannah Guthrie's employer, NBC. But they are really focused. I know they sent the first one to us, but they're focused on these television stations in Tucson. So to me, it stands to reason somebody in that area. And, and I can tell you, it's definitely somebody within a 700-mile radius, because the note says that we will return her within 12 hours of receiving payment, and that's 700 miles. So I think it's somebody in the Tucson area. So to me, it's sort of like, who's gone MIA, who's really intelligent and tech savvy, over the last week, unless it's some left turn that nobody knows. That would seem to me to be at least some, tenable clue.
Has the FBI reached it back out to you? I mean, they've gone back to Nancy Guthrie's home multiple times. We saw them looking in the septic tank over the weekend. Have they reached back out to y'all with any follow-up questions?
No, they called us a couple hours after we received the note, and they had a lot of questions. And I brought my IT team over to the phone because I couldn't answer a lot of them. They were very technical, but nobody got anywhere during the call, and that's the last we heard of them from them.
Harvey, thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.
All right, you guys. So that was the video. It was a interview with CNN's Caitlin Collins and Harvey Levin, who is the founder of TMZ. And TMZ actually received a ransom note for Nancy Guthrie. Some of the things to point out in that ransom note, of course, Levin said that there was no money in the Bitcoin wallet. So you're actually able to trace, or to track, I should say, a Bitcoin wallet, the digits associated with a Bitcoin wallet. You're able to trace, or not trace, but track how much money is in that wallet and what transactions are made. So if there's a deposit from another account let's say the $6 million that was requested or required actually in that Bitcoin, or in that ransom, you're able to actually see that in the Bitcoin wallet. Apparently, I had no idea. I did not know that that was a thing. I mean, hell, people can't even see what's in my own Bank of America wallet. So, how would they be able to see what's in a Bitcoin wallet? But that's besides the point. Apparently, you're able to see the transactions between Bitcoin wallets, and so there's no money in that Bitcoin wallet. And he also labeled this a sort of Hail Mary from Savannah Guthrie. This was before the deadline that has already passed as of now, but this message that she sent on her Instagram, which I showed you earlier in today's special coverage, was actually aired before the deadline, just a couple of hours before. And so Levin labels this as a sort of Hail Mary. Of course, the FBI and the local police and state police have no leads, no suspects or persons of interest, and so this is just a last ditch effort, as Levin sort of labeled it there. And he also said something important, which is that it would be a 12-hour delivery for Miss Guthrie, for Nancy. And so I wanted to pull this video up. I actually don't even have it loaded in my document here in my live stream, but this is from TMZ. Just give me a couple minutes while I load this here.
I looked at this alleged ransom note 20 times last night, and there is something that piqued my interest from the beginning. And I believe now that there is a way of connecting the dots, and that law enforcement has an area that they are most interested in terms of where Nancy might be, if this letter is legit. And I say it for this reason, that obviously the person who took Nancy, if this is the person who wrote this ransom letter, they're demanding money. And if they get the money, they're saying they will return her. That's obvious, right? Well, in the letter, it says they would return her back to Tucson. So they also give a time frame of how long it would take after they receive the money to return her to Tucson. So there's a time frame. Now, if you look at the time frame, then you say, well, you can draw a circle around Tucson to see how long maximum it would take to get her back there. And they're not going to fly her back, because the last thing they're going to do is go to an airport where Nancy Guthrie shows ID. That's not going to happen. So clearly it would be driving. And they're not going to drive at 100 miles an hour because if they get stopped for speeding, it's over. So they're going to go at around the speed limit. So let's say that if this letter is legit, they would travel at about 60 miles an hour. So based on this time frame in the letter and the fact that she would be returned back to Tucson, here's the way it looks. If you look, this is Tucson right here. If you look at this red circle, that is the radius of the maximum amount of time it would take to get her back to Tucson, all around this circle. It incorporates California, Nevada, Utah, Idaho. It incorporates Colorado, Wyoming, even Mexico, Texas, a slice of Kansas, and a slice of Oklahoma. Now, that's a big area for sure, but it is not the full United States. It's not the world. At least it's a defined area. And again, if the letter is legitimate, then it would seem, based on the amount of time maximum it would take to bring her back to Tucson, it's this area that I would think authorities are most interested in. And remember, they are looking for anybody who possibly has information on the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie.
Wait, you guys, hold on. I apologize there. I kind of did that little last bit on the spot. So give me 1 second here. I'll be right back after the break. Okay, I apologize there. But that video actually provides some context into the distance that the captor or captors would have to travel in order to bring Nancy Guthrie back after that Bitcoin payment was made. And so we have that context, of course, TMZ, and just in that video, that interview with Caitlin Collins on CNN, they said it would take 12 hours for them to bring Nancy back. And so we have that video, of course, and we also know, according to that TMZ video from Harvey Levin, that it would be encompassing 700 miles based on normal speed limits and everything like that. So it encompasses that entire area provided by Harvey Levin. One of the things he said in that interview with Caitlin Collins stood out to me. He said that there's potentially a new Bitcoin wallet, or a Bitcoin account, I guess you could say, which may have been provided in the second ransom. And that's why they're not seeing anything in that new or in that account, in that first account, is because it's actually in a second account. Very hard for me to understand kind of what's going on. Even as a journalist, I've done my research, trust me, or I wouldn't be providing you guys with this sort of information. But it's very interesting and very new to me how you can have a Bitcoin account first that can be tracked and see what money or how much money is going into that account, if any. And second, that there is a potential for a new account to have been made, and that money may have been sent to that second account. And so that's why TMZ is not seeing anything in their original Bitcoin account, is because there's actually a second one, which to me it's very confusing and hard to understand. But of course, I'm going to decode all of this for you guys and try and get the most up to date information. Something also that he said was that it's cryptic, in a sense, about them saying that they're celebrating. Does that mean that there was proof of life provided in that second message or ransom note? Or even that, I think there was a third one. I think that's what he was referring to, was that third one, because there was, oh no, it was a second one. It was the second ransom note. Was he talking about maybe proof of life in that other ransom note that wasn't originally sent to TMZ? That is just something that we don't know, and we won't know for quite a bit. Of course, obviously, we are praying for the safe return of Nancy Guthrie. This is just an awful, awful situation for the Guthrie family, especially Savannah, a colleague of mine, a fellow journalist. To watch a fellow journalist have to go through something like this is just absolutely awful. I wanted to bring you guys a Fox News headline that I got about 4 hours ago. Wait, we're getting an error on my screen. Hold on. Just one moment while I figure this out. Okay. I guess I'm not live on X right now. My live stream on X cut out. But I wanted to read you guys this headline that I got from Fox News about 4 hours ago. It says locals delayed cooperation with federal feds in Nancy Guthrie probe, according to sources. So I'm going to read you guys this article in its entirety. It says federal agents arrived in Tucson last week to an icy welcome amid a harrowing search for Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. She was abducted by force from her home in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood in northern Tucson around 2:30 a.m. on February 1st, according to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. Law enforcement sources described a, quote, delay in local cooperation with federal investigators, unquote, with days going by before they let them into the fold. That is quite concerning. I must say that is very concerning. More than 8 days later, Guthrie's whereabouts remain unknown. Two deadlines for millions of dollars in unverified ransom demands have also expired. Oh, you guys, there goes my headlight, my flashlight. But I just wanted to bring you guys this special coverage of what I have been covering at this moment here. I've honestly been unable to sleep. I tried to sleep this a couple hours ago, and I had this sort of news pop up, and I felt I needed to report on it. So again, if you guys have any information, you can call the FBI hotline, 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also call the Pima County Sheriff's Department, which I will pull you guys up that number right now. Just give me a couple of moments to pull that up for you guys. I don't know you can call the Pima County Sheriff's Department's number at 520-8827-463. Again, you can call the FBI hotline, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or the Pima County Sheriff's Department at 520-8827-463. That is the tips line for the Pima County Sheriff's Department, 520-8827-463, or 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information on the horrific disappearance of an abduction of Nancy Guthrie. But that'll conclude today's stream. I'm sorry that it was very, very late. I do not normally have a show at this hour of the night. It's now 1:12 a.m. Central Time, so 12:12 a.m. Mountain Time in Arizona. But we are praying for the safe and sound return of Nancy Guthrie. If you have any information, contact the law enforcement, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or if you're in Pima County, that is 520-8827-463. Thank you guys for watching this special coverage of the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and I will see you guys tomorrow.